Okay, so now we pass to Maria Gabriella Campolo, and we are talking about childless women in Italy.
Yes, thank you.
In different areas, I guess.
Yes. Just a moment. Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you. Today we will present a work in collaboration with Professor Dalla Zuanna and Annalisa Donno that are here present, but also with Professor Caltabiano, Marcantonio Caltabiano, at the University of Messina. Today, okay, I will talk about the phenomenon, the new phenomenon, or the phenomenon that has been rapidly growing in Italy and in many development countries. The increases number of childless childless women. Our presentation will focus on a territorial approach, and this is a novelty of our work, to understanding regional differences in this phenomenon. In recent decades, women rule in society have been changing in a significant manner. Motherhood was once considered the pinnacle of female achievement, but now, today, the situation is changed. Many women find other important questions in our life, in her life, and in alternative paths such as the personal growth, the career, and the other form of self-realization. Moreover, is more important taking account also the new conditional cultural factor and also the economic growth that can be related to this phenomenon and that can influence the reproductive decision. In this little figure, we can find the situation, the actual situation in Europe, and we can appreciate the increases in childless women in Italy. Sorry. Okay. Increased access to education and also other career opportunity as a significant altered family planning. Moreover, many women now prioritize personal and also professional growth and can, before considering the transition to motherhood. And also the new attitude, the new expectation on the women can be considered in this particular situation. Finally, and we take in account also this, the economic instability and work-life balance issue impact also the reproductive choices. Italy, in this context, stand out for its rapid increases in childlessness rates and making a unique case in Europe. If you consider the background, many studies focused on individual behavior to explain this phenomenon. But it's really important also considering the role of regional differences. Understanding these territorial disparities is essential to grasp also the socioeconomical and cultural factor driving childlessness. Therefore, these studies adopt a new perspective that is a regional perspective to complement the existing research and examine also the determinant of childlessness across different areas of Italy. Therefore, we have examined the regional variation that are in two different moments, current and also in the future, and they're linked to factors that are more important in this situation. Income, and these factors are also income and education, and employment. And focusing on these territorial patterns rather than individual behavior, our analysis lays the groundwork for future microdata or other model that can be used to estimate this phenomenon, like multi-level studies. In Italy, moreover, is also important taking account that family support policies are largely dependent on regional government and are different region by region, making territorial analysis essential to understanding the policy effectiveness. Therefore, our analysis can be related to different hypotheses. From one side, we have an opportunity cost hypothesis and a direct cost hypothesis. For opportunity cost hypothesis, yes, women with higher education and with a stable career may postpone a childbearing, the transition to motherhood, and this is related or can be related to high opportunity cost. Therefore, from another point of view, we have a direct cost hypothesis. Therefore, in region with a weaker economic condition, the affordability of having children decrease and leading to higher childlessness. Therefore, our work can be structured in this manner. We have 3 steps. In the first step, we update estimate of childless at age 50 for cohorts that are born between 1920 and 1974 across all region, and project this rate for the cohorts born between 1975 and 1985. For the second step we illustrate the regional differences in childlessness and use our regression analysis to model rates for these 3 cohorts based on our major factors that are income, education, employment, and foreign presence. Foreign presence is taking account like similar to dynamism in Italy. And finally, the last step, we assess the validity of our hypothesis in explaining territorial variation. Okay, childless, therefore the first results of step 1. No? Childless, if you see the graph, has fluctuated over the past century due to economic and social changes, and this derives from a different situation that appear in Italy, the war, the economic recession, but also the post-war economic boom led to higher fertility. And the last point, the point that you see in the graph after the 1975, okay, the 1975-1985 cohort show the highest level of childlessness recorded in Italy, and these are estimated results. And also, if you consider the regional or territorial differences, we can see the difference that we have in Italy. And also in the projection, you can appreciate this increase that are different in many regions. The North experiences yearly the trend of declining fertility to the greater economic independence among women. In the South, if you see traditional family, in particular in marginal South, traditional feminist structure and weaker labor market condition can contribute more to distinct pattern. Public policy, therefore, and social norm at the regional level influence our fertility behavior. Okay, about the method, and we start with the second step. After that, we estimate this variable. We use this variable to regress our model. We use 2 different models, not the least square model, but also a semi-related regression estimation equation model. Ordinary least square estimate the relationship between childlessness and the factors that are explained before: income, education, and migration. And the dependent variable, therefore, is the proportion of childless women at age 50. And the indicator that was included in ordinary least square model also including in semi-related regression model. We estimate 2 different models not only to check for robustness in our analysis, but also like a sort of a solution to the several problems that can be related in when we want to estimate something that is microdata from macrodata, the ecological fallacy. But okay, this is not solve our problem, but can be used to estimate in more robustness childlessness and to overcome the overestimate and underestimate our model. A strong correlation exists between the proportion of women in relationship and the proportion of childless women. Therefore, in this manner, this model can be a simple solution to estimate and to avoid this problem. Also, in this case, we use this the indicator of male employment, education, per capita income, but also the rate of immigrants. Okay, about our hypothesis. First hypothesis, opportunity cost. If childlessness is primarily driven by opportunity cost, we expected a higher proportion of childless women in region with higher proportion of women with a university degree and higher female employment rate in adult. The second hypothesis that is linked to direct cost. If childlessness is increasing due to economic constraint, we expected a higher proportion of childless women in an area with lower per capita income and area with low economic dynamism that is related to rate of foreigners. Therefore, in this case, we present our results, but the important point is the link between our indicators and the hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, female tertiary education has a significant negative impact only for the first cohort, while no significant effect is observed in other cohorts. But the female employment rate remains a significant positive factor across all cohorts, reinforcing the link between work opportunity and the decision to not have children. About the second hypothesis, the cost direct for mother transition. The proportion of bears to foreign resident is never significant, confirming also the ordinary least square model results. Regional average income becomes significant for the last cohort, suggesting that the economic difficulties may be a growing factor influencing childlessness in young cohort. Therefore, also the Breschpagan, sorry. Okay. Just a moment. Can you also the Breschpagan test verify our support our hypothesis, because in the first two cohorts the Breschpagan test is show a probit a p-value that is really high. Therefore, we reject the hypothesis, or we accept the hypothesis, or we fail to reject the hypothesis of independency. But these become significant for the last cohort, suggesting greater the interdependence between these two variables. Conclusion: our analysis shows that childlessness in Italy is driven by a combination of economic and social factors. The role of women, yes, women has changed. Many women choose to work and struggle to find a balance between family and work life. Economic difficulties exacerbate the problem, and in a poorer region and in the south of Italy, in particular, financial instability make it harder to form a family with children or postpone the transition, and the phenomenon is more pronounced in the south of Italy. Moreover, Sardinia become a special case that must be studied in deep. And okay, this finding suggests that childlessness is primarily influenced by employment opportunity rather than economic condition and education, with economic constraints that become a more relevant factor in the younger course. Limitation of the study, yes, we studied this phenomenon using microdata, and the macro-regional approach, this analysis conducted at aggregate regional level. The next step will be estimate using other model that taking account the possibility to link microdata and macrodata to estimate our model. In this manner, we can estimate, for example, a multi-level model that can be that link these two different phases in our estimate model. Sorry for the time, and thank you.
So, for sense of justice, since the next session would have 15 minutes more, we use a few minutes, or at least half a minute, so 7 minutes, for this session, and we can have some questions to the authors. Yes, please. Introduce yourself, and then...
Hi, I'm Alberto Roletti. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Dalla, and I have a question for Professor Castiglione regarding her presentation. Thank you. Question, Professor Castiglione. So the presentation was very interesting. The data, I feel very threatened by the data. But jokes aside, I was wondering if you have an explanation on why the phenomenon is spreading, because it seems to me that it was more prevalent in younger people, and also why you think the more educated males are engaging in this more. The more educated males are engaging in this, and also if you can also explain in one of the last slides, the couple squeezing phenomenon that you mentioned. Thank you.
Maybe we can collect some other questions, or maybe you can answer quickly.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, my name is Giulia Zanini. Thank you very much. My name is Giulia Zanini. I also have a question for Maria Castiglione. So I have two very quick. So the first is, if I understand correctly, what you're suggesting is that if we had actually data on the number of children for each man, it would show that many more women have less children and fewer men have more children, basically, than like men have more than one and women tend to have. So I'm just checking if this is the
right interpretation.
The pictures, right? And because some men are completely off the market of children bearing, let's say, while others have multiple, if that's the right understanding. And the second one is about sexual orientation and the fact that more men don't even enter unions with women because they don't want to. And more women do enter a relationship with other women and have children in this kind of relationships. So I'm not sure this is statistically relevant yet, but still, and a lot it's also underground. We don't know how much this phenomenon is. So how do you integrate this kind of other situation in the picture? Thank you.
Other questions? If not, I have as well.
Okay.
No, I can, because it's related. I mean, I like this paper of Maria and Gianpiero a lot because they show that we cannot study childlessness without thinking about unions. So unions are very important because actually childless is one of the fact, but before there are people entering unions. So this is, and also assortative matings. So I'm thinking a little bit about the international literature. So there are these phenomena in East Asia with South Korean and Japanese men who don't enter in union if they are low economic level and low education, while in the same countries, women with high education and high position, they don't enter in union. So the childlessness is really polarized for socioeconomic status between men and women. So I know that you cannot do it with your data, but it would be incredibly interesting to understand who are these super producer of children. I mean, who are these men who produce more in different union, and who are the other men who are left out. And I think it's a little bit linked also to that, because there are different situations that can lead to that. And instead I mean, just since I have the microphone, for Yvette, I mean, you said several times that Italy actually in this graph stands out quite closer to Eastern European countries that actually are very low fertility country as well, no? So I was wondering if you have some explanation for that. I mean, if you ask yourself why you didn't have time to reflect on it, but I think that by the end of the day, we are observing things, but then we are also trying to explain why we found that. So Maria, maybe you need to switch on the microphone. It needs to be, yeah, it's green.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no? Yes. Thank you for your questions. About the younger cohorts, it seems to us that is more frequent to have repeated unions. And so in our hypothesis, it is more frequent that happens this kind of a diachronic polygamy, okay? It is true that there is a problem related to the composition of the groups, so mostly about the effect of education, that we didn't go in depth on this topic, but the more educated men in the other models I didn't show you have a lower probability to form a union in general, okay? Lower, okay? But those who form a union have a higher probability that when they have at least 2 children, they come from 2 histories. Okay, so we have some parts of the histories. We don't have a complete focus, but this happens. So there is a difference in the in the couple formation between more educated men, but young men from the younger cohorts, but a higher probability that these children comes from 2 different, at least, stories. Yes, we have less men with who are childless, so the proportion of, but I don't study the gender fertility, the differences in fertility between men and female, so I don't know exactly what is the level of fertility for men. I don't know. About homosexuality, it may be a problem, of course, mostly if there are differences in the attitude towards the reproduction of minorities, male or female minorities, but our data comes from the survey of 2016, and so we suppose that they are low proportion. Of course, the problem is it is possible that there are different proportion of minorities in different groups, so it is possible that they are related also to, for example, education. So it is possible that they are not equally distributed in all groups. This is a possibility. But in our opinion, the proportion are too little at the moment that they have an impact, a visible impact. They may contribute, but probably in a little proportion, yeah.
There is an important series of articles yes, it happens also in population variant review. The problem is
Gianpiero, you need to.
yes, there is an increase of of women with degree. Now is higher proportion than men with degree. And he discuss in these papers if this cause problem,
Van Bavel.
Sì, Van Bavel, excuse me. If it's give problems to marriage squeeze. the results of these studies is that there are possibility of compensation. Then it is not a problem. There is another very interesting paper that shows that in US, there is a higher proportion of men that say, I don't want to have children. Then we can say, okay, this is the cause of the fact that there is a higher proportion of men without children. But it's not good, this, because supposed to have 100 men and 100 women. And 50% of men don't want to have the children, and only 10% of women don't want to have children. If there is not the possibility of different combination, at the end of the history, we had 50% of men and women without children. We have a difference because there is the possibility of polygamy, of diachronic polygamy. You understand what I say?
Sorry, just to understand. Yeah.
Diachronic polygamy is a sentence of Antonio Golini. That's why I repeat it. I like it. I was young when he speak about it. Then okay. Excuse me.
No. So yeah, the problem is how to balance the two propensity, because some compromise has to be realized, or there are.
A lot of articles speak about this, but forget that to have a child, 95% of children are in the couple, are born in a couple. They speak of men, we speak of women, but without considering the fact that they have to go together for having children. And we are demographers, and we speak about this topic. That is one of the most important topics of demography, studying marriage. Now, we don't study marriage because we have not data about cohabitation. We have data for Italy for cohabitation only one time l'abbiamo una volta ogni 5 anni, sti dati, ok?
Okay, fine. Okay, and no. Thank you for the suggestion of studying Asian countries. Maybe of interest. Yeah, we will.
It's not really a suggestion to study. It's a similarity.
Yeah. To consider this as a comparison, we will enlarge this analysis to other European countries with the data from GGS. Okay, to compare and to look more in depth about this. But again, in Europe, but we can.
Although GGS is quite old in considering men and women, because in the international GGS they interview for something only men who have a partner of a certain age. So they don't interview all the men. So in Italy we managed to interview all the men below 50 about reproduction. But there are resistance, they don't want to. I think that this is one of another thing that we should consider. That,
Thank you for your question, and because this section is about macro perspective, I try to find some macro perspective explanation for Italy, and I think we have not mentioned many macro perspective. For example, the climate change or the political climate, and I think maybe the explanation can be the political climate, because it is also right-wing populist parties in Italy, and they find the survival of the nation is based on the families. So I think this can be a common value with country like Hungary. I have another project where we examine the discourse about immigration and family, and this is very much characterized in Hungary and the other Central Eastern European countries, while in the Western European populist is more focused on gender equality and the acceptance of gay and lesbians' rights, and that's why they oppose the migration, why in the Central Eastern European countries they oppose the immigration because they want to strengthen the families, and I think this can be the, that's why in Italy is also more similar to the Central Eastern European countries, but this is just speculation. Yeah, thank you.
So just a final word from Maria Gabriella Campolo. 2 words about this Sardinia.
Yeah.
What's happening in Sardinia?
No. Just this is a work, the first step of a large work. Okay, this is the first point in descriptive analysis. We find that, okay, we have a macro region, the area of the south of Italy, and is more complicated, but we have also Sardinia that in this presentation is not, I not show the a graph in which you compare Sardinia that is an outlier. Therefore, I think that this is a good starting point also to study, to improve this kind of analysis and link the microdata and macrodata to study a large phenomenon, a complicated phenomenon that can be studied only using individual data, or the other side, only the territorial data, administrative data. Therefore, we think that, yes, Sardinia can be a good starting point, a good, not good news, because if you see the administrative data, also you can appreciate this outlier. But yes, can be a good starting point.
To be treated with care and not to be put with the other. Okay, so thanks a lot. I think we don't have any break, so we just change seat.